94.5 PST.
What's up, it's Rashaud here, backstage at the Liacouras Center with Hoodie Allen.
Hey,
how are you?
Good, man. Nice to meet you.
You have a lot of fans outside waiting for you in the cold. Now, when you were growing up, was that something that you would do for your favorite artists?
Absolutely not. The longest I think I ever waited for a show was the Roots at Electric Factory.
Nice.
And it was like my freshman year at Penn, and I came maybe 2 hours before doors, 2 or 3 hours before doors, and we were one of the first like 50 people there, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Nice, but you wouldn't do like being out, it's like 30 degrees out.
You know what, it's amazing because like the passion that like young people have,
right?
Like we lose that when we get older.
It's
we're
true.
jaded and we're like, we can't have fun and we can't do things, but like I've done like that sort of adventure like in different capacities before, and like I think that's all it is. It's just like, man, let's make this a memorable experience. Let's do something that's like, we're never gonna forget that time that we camped out and we saw the show and we got to meet him, we did the whole thing. So I get it.
Nice.
I love it.
Nice. Is there any artist now that you would do something like that for? I mean, you have access to, or if you wanted to, you could just say, hey, I want to go to this concert.
Sometimes. It's not like that easy, but yeah, you know, for a lot of it you can sometimes use be like, hey, can we get tickets for this show? Is that possible, or can we buy them? Yeah. So in that way, I don't know if I would camp out for anyone today, but when I saw Justin Timberlake recently, I definitely fangirled out. That was a show I definitely was like, oh my gosh, it's awesome.
Nice. How do you continue to keep it exciting in terms of that interaction you have with your fans? Because I've never heard of someone, I'm gonna call the people who purchased my album.
Yeah, it was an idea.
Yeah.
That was just like trying something different at the time, and I got a lot more, got a lot greater response than I anticipated. Right. And then, I mean, in general, the album did, so it kind of set a course for me being busier than I had previously been before the album came out, which is a good thing overall at the end of the day. Right. I don't know, I think for me it's just about continuing to always keep in contact, because like that's sort of the people who care the most about what you do and helping you reach certain goals and just being interested in you as a person and you as a musician. So I don't see any reason to ever like cut myself off from them, you know?
Of course. There's a big Spotify debate with artists, and we all know that Taylor Swift was like, I'm not putting my music on Spotify because I want the fans to buy the music.
Sure.
You've said that, you know, you don't have a problem with your music being on Spotify. How do you kind of feel about Taylor Swift saying, you know what, I don't think Spotify is the best avenue for my music?
You know, I didn't really mean to be vocally on the opposition about it. I think at the end of the day, like an artist or an artist label or management or whoever is able to decide like what makes most sense for them in terms of how they want to distribute their music. That's their music. Right. I think she's always shown that she's really smart and progressive, especially that Wall Street Journal article. Right. That she completely understands, and then most people understand where like music consumption is going. Right. So to me, I feel like, just personally, I feel like a lot of stuff is based on payouts, and really wanting Spotify to pay out more. And I guess I just wish there's a little bit more honesty behind that being the real reason, probably. Because it's true, she's one of the artists I'm not one of the artists, but like there are artists who can sell arenas. If they all collectively decided like, we're not gonna work with Spotify until the payout schedule, you know, however it is, we need more percentage, whatever it is. Right. They could probably affect some real change. Right. But it's, you know, I think as like a person who distributes music nowadays, like there's so many people who have heard my new album from Spotify and that's where they come to a show, but they haven't bought it. Right. And so you don't want that ticket? Yeah. I mean, like you don't want that? Like to me, music discovery is like everything. Right. And like the live show is a great culmination of seeing those fans wherever they come from. Right. So I think, you know, at the end of the day, just like anything, it's all with the business, and it's all about figuring out how artists get compensated fairly for their music. Sure, absolutely. Any big plans for 2015? Just to work, man. Doing some promo stuff, trying to make All About It as successful as a record at radio as possible. Right. And looking forward to heading over international. Nice. To sort of tour the record. Yeah. And that'll probably take up a good chunk of my time. And then by the middle of the year we'll see what everything is.
Right.
You know, in the world.
Speaking of the song All About It, and that one's featuring Ed Sheeran,
yeah.
which I love. Tell me how you met Ed. Like, what's that story?
I met Ed at Irving Plaza. He was playing a show there, which is a relatively small venue. I think at the time he already had a Radio City Music Hall show sold out for the future.
Yeah.
So he was like growing very fast during the time that I met him. And I ended up meeting him backstage through a mutual friend, and I was like one of the only people backstage, which was very surprising for me.
Yeah.
And we just started hitting it off, and
nice.
got to kick it. And you know, every time he was in New York, from that point on, we just always hung out and struck up a friendship.
Yeah. And how did the song come about?
I think that was just like one of the times we were just like, hey, why don't we make music next time we're in New York together? And it actually happened. Yeah.
Nice. And the result was All About It.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song to perform on stage?
From the new album, there's a track called "Won't Mind."
Yeah.
Which features this guy Max,
yeah.
and he's on the tour, and it's a really awesome song to play live.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of fun.
Nice.
Especially when the crowd knows it. It's just, it's very high energy.
Nice. A couple of songs on your album, it seemed as though you were talking about rappers who are hating on you. Is that more of a because it's true, or it just sounded great in a song?
I don't know if I
You didn't mention anyone in particular, but
I don't know if it was rappers per se. The album does talk about conflict. Well, I wrote the album during a time when there were a lot of great things happening in my life, as well as a lot of friendships and relationships that sort of were disintegrating at the same time. And I think, there are call-outs to rappers, but a lot of it also is completely non-musical based. Just the idea of communication, the communication breaking down between some people. Okay.
And I want to get, since you are a rapper, I want to get your take on some of, I'll just say a rapper, you tell me what you think of them, okay?
Sure, I'm going to be super political.
I hope not, because it wouldn't be as fun if you were politically correct.
No, go for it. My mouth gets me in trouble.
Iggy Azalea.
Super successful.
Speaking of Iggy, why do you think it's been so difficult for her? She's faced a lot of backlash trying to get into hip-hop. I feel as though a lot of people are like, she won the, I think, hip-hop album, the rap album at the AMAs. Yeah. A lot of people were like, why did she win that? Why do you think it's been difficult for her?
I don't know, you know, she's looks like, you know, blonde hair, light skin, you know, she looks like, I guess, not what the typical sort of, like I guess maybe it's like the divide between hip-hop coming up as music that's like really representing like a struggle in a class of like speaking out for something, whereas maybe people don't know her story as much, or know her struggle or her background, and I don't personally really either. So I don't know. Also being female, female, and you know that's not easy. There's only so many really successful females right now.
What's your writing style like? Is it you know, a matter of you write as time goes on, or for 3 months you're like, I'm going to work on this next album? How does that work for you?
Sure. For me, I seem to, most of this album was made with myself and 2 producers who sort of co-produced most of the tracks on it. And those songs sort of came together where we let the music lead it. Okay. So whether it was a guitar riff in it or a drum pattern, and we're sort of all working together in the same room. I'll be working on some sort of top line, some melody, how the song makes me feel, and we're sort of building it together. I usually write the rap verses on a separate day, but we'll probably leave a successful session like that with like an idea, a hook, some scratch notes. I'll be on like my phone doing like 25 minutes of like just like demoing ideas, and then I sort of listen back to it later and say what was good here, what wasn't good here, and let it inspire. I like to continue writing throughout the year, not just like this is album time and leaving, which I feel is very much like what a band would do, because they're like tracking everything live and taking time. So it's kind of, I guess, easier for me, even though we use a lot of live instruments to sort of track, because it is hip hop, and you can program drums and do shit like that. Right. So yeah, for me it's like it's about getting together in a room with someone and trying to bust out enough of a good idea, and then fleshing that idea out on like the next day.
Nice, nice. Well, the album is called People Keep Talking. It's available now, and of course, get that single on iTunes. All About It, featuring Ed Sheeran. This is, I would like to think, our new friend, Hoodie Allen. It's Rashaud from 94.5 PST.